Welcome to Real Talk in My Rooms, the podcast where we dive deep into all things entrepreneurship, personal branding, and the art of thriving in a digital age. I'm Amanda Kristy, your host, and today we're peeling back the layers of social media marketing with a very special guest, Katie, the president of Social Curator. Our journey today explores the power and essence of authentic storytelling and how it's reshaping the way we connect online. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's embark on this enlightening episode together. Katie, welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to be here, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. Katie is, like I said, I know Katie from Social Curator. We work together, and I've known Katie now we do this every time, and I still can't believe it, but it's been since 2021, so 3 years now.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
The time flies by, but Katie, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Katie. I'm the president here at Social Curator, as Amanda said, and Social Curator is just a platform with software and education to help entrepreneurs grow their business and make sales on social media. So we're obsessed with helping people who don't have the money for big marketing agencies and splashy ads to know how they can truly market their business on social media. It's totally free. I.e. social media is totally free. We do offer a small charge for our platform, but social media is totally free. And if you can market your business and grow with free resources, why not? And we want to empower everyone, whether you own a pizza parlor or you teach online classes on how to cut your own hair or whatever it might be, anywhere in between. We want to empower you to do that. So it's a really fun job.
It is the best. And the team is truly amazing. All the hard work and dedication that everybody puts into it for everybody else and for their businesses to grow is truly amazing. And it shows through the community and everything. Like, we truly do have such a one-of-a-kind community, and the platform itself, I literally could not live without. This podcast wouldn't be going on if it wasn't for Social Curator. Truly, truly.
You're a big part of it. Amanda is so active in our community. She's one of our community admins and talks with our users every single day, encouraging them, giving them resources, kind of pointing them in the right direction. It can be a lot as an entrepreneur, especially if you're going solo. And so Amanda's just there to provide so much support. So we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you. Thank you. So if you're ready, I have some questions for you.
But
All right. So let's get into it. So the first question is, Katie, how does Social Curator help businesses leverage authentic storytelling to not just reach, but deeply engage with their audience? Could you share a success story?
now, one of the things that we say again and again and again inside Social Curator is that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so one of the fastest ways to build that know, like, and trust factor is stories. Because I could take, Amanda's going to laugh right now, y'all, because I'm going to talk about my water bottle. And I talk about my water bottle in almost every class that I teach.
I want it.
Right? So this is a basic old water bottle. It's just a white water bottle. There's a little straw. It's off brand. It's not even, it looks like a Hydro Flask, but it's fake Hydro Flask. Okay. So you get it on Amazon. But I could sell you this water bottle and just say, like, I have a water bottle that holds 30 ounces of your favorite beverage and keeps it cool. Okay, like, great. If you're looking for that, fantastic. But if I tell a story about my water bottle, if I tell you that this water bottle was given to me by a friend when I was going through a really hard season, and she said, I just need you to focus on self-care. So I'm going to give you a water bottle, and it's the most basic water bottle in the entire world. But every time you see it, I want you to remind yourself that you're important and that you're valuable and that you can call me if you need anything. So I carry this water bottle around with me, and it keeps me hydrated. It helps me take care of myself. But at the end of the day, it reminds me that I'm worth it, and I have friends who care for me. Okay, so if I tell a story about my water bottle that way and how you could buy the water bottle and it could be that reminder to you, you are far more likely to be, I need that water bottle. And it's just a plain old water bottle. So we want people to create these genuine, authentic stories, not to like create something out of thin air that doesn't exist. But if we take a moment just to pause and think, these stories kind of come to us. And that is what helps me connect with you on social media. So if you see a reel or a post with me sharing that, you're like, wow, that's incredible. Maybe you'll buy the water bottle at that moment, or maybe it'll just kind of log in the back of your mind. And maybe a week from now, a friend's going to call you and going through a hard time. You're like, you know what? I think I'm going to buy her that water bottle. And so that's what we like to do at Social Curator. We like to help you think about, okay, what is it that you're offering and how can you genuinely connect with your ideal client, talk to them in a way that really meets them right where you're at, and talk about your product in that way. So we have a lot of tools and resources to help with that. But the big goal is, how do you deeply engage with your audience? And storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to do it. You asked for a success story, Amanda. And one of the things that came to mind is, Denisha. Denisha is fantastic.
Yes.
foster youth advocate. She's a motivational speaker. She has a million plates going on, but she's really focused on telling her story. So she's a foster youth advocate because she was in the foster care system herself, and she has a powerful story, and she tells it very, kind of genuinely. And she is connected with so many people that way. She's been able to fully replace her income. That's what she's doing full time now. She no longer has a boss or, kind of that regular salary, because she's been able to replace it all simply by showing up on social media and sharing her story. And you don't have to have, someone might say, like, okay, Katie, like, okay, Amanda, I did not have that like powerful story of resilience and survival from the foster care system. Like, I just sell water bottles. Well, you don't have to have a powerful story in order to sell. Does it come genuinely and from your heart and authentically? Absolutely. And that's all we ask you to do.
Yeah. So I feel like the key, like with that too, is just being authentic, be you, show up as you, and it makes such a difference because it truly does. I mean, I came across Social Curator from during 2020, sitting in my backyard during the pandemic. I had just lost my job and I'm like, okay, well, side hustle thing, let's start something. And I was like, what's hashtags? I don't really understand hashtags. So I put in hashtags and one of Jasmine's video came up. And like the way she spoke about it, and just I felt like I was like, oh, I like the story. Like I love how she's teaching. Let me watch another one. And like rabbit hole later of I don't even know how many videos I watched, but I was like, oh, I really like her. So now let me go to social media and follow her. So I feel like just that authenticity that she showed is what got me going back and then following her journey, which then led to Social Curator, which is where we are today. So
I love it. And you can smell
storytelling.
it too, right? Like
Mhm.
you can smell if someone is genuinely being authentic, or if they're like trying to, like, I don't know, like razzle dazzle you, right?
Yeah.
It's just like an innate sense in us. You know how like a dog can sense if you're afraid of it or whatever it might be. It's just like this innate sense inside of us, and we kind of know. And so when we just like say like, okay, I'm just gonna be myself and record this in the car, like not moving, but sit in the car, get that great light and record it. People know it's from you and not some like staged production. You can even do things that are staged. Maybe you have a fancy videographer or whatever, but it's still
Yeah.
genuine from the heart, and people can smell that. So I just love to tell people, like, just talk as if you're talking to your best friend across the coffee table, and that's going to come across so powerfully on social media.
So yeah, it really does. And even like with like you said, like with a team having a videographer, start somewhere, and that stuff just enhances the visual aspect of it, but it's still them being genuinely them and telling their story, which is huge. So
Yes. Yes.
thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for that. All right. So our next question, in your opinion, what is the biggest mistakes brands make when trying to craft authentic stories on social media, and how can they avoid that?
This is such a great follow-up to what we were just talking about, because I think one of the biggest mistakes is trying too hard to be perfect. I think with sometimes, especially as a smaller brand, we can look at a bigger brand. Let's just say Target, right? And Target has flashy ads and they have 1,500 models and all these things. And we're like, okay, I have to create this like perfect marketing piece.
Yep.
And maybe someday you'll become Target and you'll have a huge team to create that perfect marketing piece for you. But if we can just start right where we're at and say like, okay, I'm going to tell my story. And Gary Vee says it best. He says, document, not create. Right. So instead of saying, what
Yes.
create, how can I document my day? I told this last week. I taught a class last week and I said, okay, how many of us have wasted time, if you call it waste of time, debate, watching Instagram stories of people unloading their groceries? Like, how many times have you seen like Trader Joe haul and you spend 5 minutes watching someone like taking things from their bag and say, like, I really like these tortillas. Like, all I do is put some refried beans in it and it's good to go. And it's unloading your groceries. It is maybe the most mundane thing that all of us
Right.
do probably at least once a week, right? We all unload our groceries and we don't really think much of it. We're actually just trying to get it done as fast as possible so we can move on to the next thing in our day. And yet we watch people unload groceries. Like, how boring. It's not novel to us. We've all done it a million times. We don't need tips on how to unload our groceries. We don't need any of it, but we're just fascinated with what people's real lives look like. So as a brand, it might be tempting to think like, well, that's what someone does for maybe like a personal brand. But a personal brand is just as important. Even if you have a company with multiple employees, having a personal brand and talking about who you are and what you do and giving people behind the scenes, whether it's behind the scenes of your grocery haul and how you fuel yourself for success, or whether it's behind the scenes of what you do to prepare for a client or package a product, people love to see that really authentic part of you. And so you just have to document it. You're already unloading your groceries. You're already packaging your products. You're already coaching clients. You're already doing 5 yoga exercises in breaks. Like, just turn your phone on and document that and let people in. One of the biggest things that we love to say, Jasmine loves to say, Jasmine, by the way, is the CEO of Social Curator, and she loves to say that brand is what people say about you when you walk out of the room. So a great
Mhm.
question if you're like, okay, I kind of get it. I kind of get I'm supposed to document and create, but like, let's just say I had an imaginary camera follow me around. So like, how do I pick those pieces to show on social media? It's a little bit of a trial and error, obviously what you're comfortable with. But if you can think about your brand, like what are the three things I want someone to say about my brand when they walk out of the room? Maybe you want them to say your brand is inspirational. Maybe you want them to say your brand gets me out of bed in the morning. Maybe you want to say your brand is, creates like a sense of like I can do it, like empowerment. So if you can kind of hone in on those words, then you can choose those clips, those little kind of pieces of content that kind of help accentuate that, right? So if I want you to say like, oh, my brand, let's say I sell water bottles, and I want you to feel really like empowered to take care of yourself through my water bottles. So I'm going to be choosing clips of my day of when I'm taking care of myself. Maybe, like I make a healthy snack. Maybe I'm going on a walk outside. Maybe I'm doing a meditation. So I might prioritize those clips over something that's a little bit more like, less focused on self-care. Maybe it's, just answering emails or something, right? That's still behind the scenes of my day. People could find it interesting, but it's not as well aligned with my brand. So if I can choose clips that go with my brand, that is the sweet spot.
Make it relatable. Yeah. It's funny because you were just saying that. I saw earlier, it was actually earlier today. I just came across a reel and it was a girl with a face mask on, like, like the green face mask,
Yeah.
is
Oh yeah.
drinking a coffee. And she goes, my husband said if I can grow my following from, I think it was 100 to 10,000 or some wild number within 30 days, he's going to buy me a coffee every day for 30 days or something like that. I went to go look because I was curious after that. I went to go check her profile out and she had, I think it was like 37.5 thousand followers. And her video, she's like, I already gained 1,000 followers and this is my third post. And she just kept doing it. Then you go to her most recent videos and it talked about the reason why people followed her was because they could relate to it. The people who were into skincare, who were into coffee, who were into the natural, no makeup, just showing up as you kind of vibe. And that's who she got.
Love that. I love how she knew who she was going for. She knew her ideal client. She was like, they just want authentic and real. So like,
Yeah.
let's multitask. Let's put on a face mask and do social media at the same time. I mean, what could be better than that? And she knew that's who she was going for. That's really powerful.
Right. And then she stayed consistent, which
Key, absolute
which
key.
is key.
Yes.
So, all right. So, Katie, could you talk about the role of data and feedback in crafting authentic stories and how can brands leverage insight from their audience interactions to refining their storytelling approach?
This one I feel like is both easy and hard because it's easy. Just look at the data and do what it says. But it's hard because sometimes it's hard to interpret the data. And I think kind of a common spot we find in the middle when we kind of try to do it all is like a blame the algorithm game. Like, well, I'm doing what the algorithm tells me to do, and the algorithm changed it. So how am I supposed to know? And the algorithm, Jasmine likes to say, it's not out to get you. It's really like your best friend pulling you aside at a party and being like, Katie, you've got spinach in your teeth. And the algorithm, basically, when your posts start not doing as well, it's saying like, you got to fix something. Like it's not resonating with your audience. And so one of the things we can do when we say like, okay, I'm not getting good performance. And the reason we know we're not getting good performance in the first place is because we're tracking. And we don't have to get super like detailed and analytical and track everything. I like to track likes, comments, and like shares, right? So like, are people sharing it? Are they liking it? Are they commenting? Are they viewing it if it's like a video piece of content? And if I have a general sense of kind of where I'm averaging out and am I trending upwards over time or am I trending downwards? If I start to notice a downward trend, that's kind of like, okay, there's some spinach in my teeth. So then what do? I kind of look back over, I would say look back over your last 14 days or 30 days of posts and say, okay, which are the 5 that did the best and which are the 5 that did the worst? And see if you can start to notice some commonalities. You might say, oh, the 5 that did the best, I was talking straight to camera and had no makeup on. Oh, that's interesting. You could say, oh, the 5 that did the worst. I just took like a photo and it had no kind of text on it and it wasn't a carousel and it didn't really relate to the caption. And so doesn't really seem like that engages my audience. So you can start to pick up on some trends. And if, for example, you say, okay, talking straight to camera, I'm going to do more of that. Instead of doing that type of post once a week, maybe I'm going to try like 2 or 3 times a week and see if that engages my audience more. And then we just keep on going. And the thing with the algorithms are they do always change a little bit. They're always tweaking them. And so we may find something that worked for us really well for 3 months, all of a sudden doesn't. And that's just an opportunity to adjust, not to get frustrated, not to say it's out to get me. It's just Alex Ramosi, I think, actually had a quote and he said, figure out what works, do it for as long as it can until it doesn't work, and then figure out something else that works, do it as long as it can until it doesn't work. And that's just kind of the game of marketing. You're never going to kind of hit a point where you're like, I have the perfect magical system that if you just follow my magical system every day, You never need to do anything else again. It's always being flexible and adjusting. And that can be challenging when you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I just want a system I can forget about. But there are some basics that remain true, making sure you have engaging captions, making sure that you're clearly asking people to like comment, like, engage, drop that CTA. Those will stand the test of time. And then you get to learn what works best for your ideal client just by testing. So one tip I love to give people is sometimes you can say like, I don't actually know what's working. Like I'm going to look at my past 30 posts and they all look like the same in terms of like, they all get the same number of likes. They all get the same number of comments. Like it's not great, but it's not terrible. Like I don't even know where to go next. I would go to the accounts of other people in your industry. So let's say you're this like natural, like skincare and, clean beauty, right? So what are some bigger clean beauty accounts that your ideal client likely follows? What are they doing? Right? What are they doing? And you can kind of look and say, oh my gosh, they're doing a review of their favorite skincare products every Monday morning live. Maybe I could try that. You're not ripping off their content. You're just taking general ideas and
Yeah.
saying like, oh, this is resonating well. How can I make it resonate? Just like if you were an interior designer and you're looking at a bunch of magazines and you see like a couple rooms that you really like and you're like, oh, I like the bookcase in that room and I like the way they arrange the coffee table in this room. So you create a room with a similar bookcase and a coffee table. You're not stealing, you're just looking to see at what works and then making that your own.
Absolutely. And it's inspiring, and you get these ideas. Like there's a photographer in, I think she's in Miami, and I came across her and I'm like, I love her style. I love everything. Like I want to start showing up the way she is because I'm inspired by her. And I feel like a lot of people will take that and they're like, oh, they're copying me, but it's not like take it more as like a thing. Like it's a compliment. Like they liked how you're showing up. And you mentioned something too with like your ideal client. I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of people like to skip past
Yes.
that, and
Yes.
they don't like to. So I feel like that's also where with like the social media, like, oh my God, it's always changing. So if you know your ideal client too, you're going to get back into the pivot where you have to maybe change something because social media or the algorithm changed, but
Right.
it keeps it fun. And again, with marketing, it's one of those things where it is forever changing.
Always is.
There used to
Always
be
is.
billboards, TVs, whatever, right? Yeah, those were like the big things that you needed to show up on. Now it's social media, which
Yep.
platform. But again, it depends on who your ideal client is. So I think having the tools that Social Curator does provide will help you get to that, well, I know will help you get to that next level in social media because
Yeah.
it gives you all those tools and everything. The basics that you were just saying, you guys provide the structure for that and you give the tips and the tricks and all the great things inside to help that. Just could go to Social Curator real quick. Can you just explain what are some of the things that people can find inside Social Curator, including Dottie, who's like I said, my best friend. She's
Absolutely. Absolutely. So look, think of we when you come in, we really want you to build a foundation because there are some pieces, Amanda said like the vehicle of marketing might change over time. It might have been radio and then billboards and TV and like there are these different ways of reaching people, but the core kind of essentials remain the same. And that's knowing exactly who your ideal client is. And that might sound a little bit silly. Maybe it sounds too elementary to like 101, or maybe it sounds really weird and confusing, but it essentially is saying if I could craft out of thin air the perfect person to buy my water bottle or my phone case or my online course on quilting, who would that be? And then you start creating content for these platforms, right? So it's going to be, let's say it was a radio ad, or let's say it was a Facebook post or an Instagram reel. It doesn't really matter, but you're speaking directly to that person. So you're going to be using language, pop culture references, things that that would really resonate with them. So when you come into Social Curator, we're going to help you get that set. We're going to help you figure out who your ideal client is, figure out how to talk to them. And one of the things that can be challenging is you kind of have it in your head, but it's hard to get it out. You're like, I know who my ideal client is. Her name's Sarah. She's a 35-year-old mom who lives in the Midwest. But I don't like, I know how to talk to her, but I don't know how to, like when I try to write it, it doesn't come out. So we have Dottie on the inside of Social Curator, and Dottie is your digital social media manager. So you tell Dottie, hey, I've got Sarah. She's a 35-year-old mom. She really like the tone of voice that I like to use with is really warm. It's kind of a little bit funny, like tongue in cheek. You can give her some other ideas and you can tell her like, hey, I do group coaching classes for women in their late 30s who want to work out at home because they have kids and they can't get to a gym. So then you just tell Dottie, I need a post, like I need a caption. And you can just think of Dottie as your social media manager and give her as much or as little information as you want. So I've literally told Dottie before, please write me a caption about smoothies. That's all I've told Dottie. But she knows all these details about my business, my ideal client, that caption is actually pretty darn correct to what I need it to be. Or I could give her more information. I could say, Dottie, I'm running a specific sale on clean beauty. It's going to be 25% off for this weekend. If they buy by Sunday, they're also going to get this discount. Can you write a whole post about that for me? And she can spit out a really nice, clear, detailed post. So Dottie kind of takes what's jumbled up in your head and gets it out so that you can create posts quickly. And she uses our proven formula for engagement. So I talked about that earlier, but let me circle back. So we really believe to get the most attention on social media, every single caption should start with a hook, get my attention really fast, stop my scroll, give me some insights, and then end with a clear call to action. So Dottie's built to write captions that way. So you don't have to think about it. You can be like, I know the proven Social Curator formula for engagement. I don't even have to think about it anymore. I just have to tell Dottie. She gives it to me. So Dottie gives it to you. You add it to your post. She can give you some visual ideas too, like how should I create a reel about this, or what's a good photo, and you schedule it and you're on your way. So basically it takes this whole thing that feels so complicated. I got to know my ideal client. I got to post this many times a week. I got to know what to say. I have to use the formula. I don't know what reel to create. And Dottie's just like, here it is. And then you just basically do a couple clicks and you are good to go. So Dottie helps you stay consistent on social media, which is huge. But then, as Amanda mentioned, we have a community, because being a business owner, it's hard. It's truly hard. And a lot of us are the first business owners in our families. We don't have strong communities. Maybe we have a really supportive partner or we have a really supportive family, but they don't know the ins and outs of business. So they're like, chase your dreams. But then it's you get stuck and they don't know how to help you because they just don't know the business world that you're in. And so to be in a community with thousands of like-minded business owners who can say, oh, I've been in that position. Here's what I did. Here are some things to try. Here's how you could think about it differently. It's absolutely powerful. So we bring people together. We have classes every single week. And then we have what we call step-by-step action plans. And so these are action plans. If you're like, okay, I've heard I'm supposed to have an email newsletter as an entrepreneur. Like, what is that? Not a problem. We'll show you what it is, why you need it, how to create it, how to set it up, step by step, 14-day checklist at the end of it. We have dozens of them on everything from starting a podcast, writing an email newsletter, getting YouTube subscribers, building relationships on social media. So basically, we want to be a hub. You come to Social Curator, we're going to get you all set up on social media, and we're going to help you make sales and make it really simple. It's the all-in-one platform that you need. So I'm really excited to be able to kind of like help business owners so they don't have to start running to multiple places, Google all the things. It's just like, come here and you got it all.
Yeah, no, the Social Curator hub is truly like life-changing for entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, or even if you have a team of just two people, it helps significantly. And it goes way beyond social media. Like I use Dottie and Social Curator, like you were saying before, for the emails. So you have Dottie helping with email templates. This podcast would not be possible if it wasn't for Dottie. Truly, truly, truly. She saves so much time. It's just, I can go on and on about it. And it really is super helpful and super appreciative from a business, a business owner, small business owner, to have this resource is just huge. So again, not only am I grateful to be part of the team, but I'm just truly grateful for Social Curator and how much it has impacted not just my business, but watching how many businesses it has impacted over the years is just remarkable. And literally can't say any what you said about the community. It's so true. Having that community and the space of people there to just support, give the feedback, ask the questions. It's amazing.
I couldn't agree more.
But so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know we're almost out, but I have one last question for you. So I got this from the Lewis House podcast. If everything that you have ever put out, taught, everything was just wiped away, and you can only give 3 pieces of advice, inspiration, anything just to share with the world, what would those 3 things be?
I love that. And Amanda kindly gave me a little heads up so I could come up with some good answers here. So I'm going to keep them focused on business since that's where our conversation was today. But the first one, and we actually touched on it earlier, but was to get laser focused on who your ideal client is. Literally everything falls into place once you know who your ideal client is and how to best talk to them. Otherwise, it feels like you're creating really general marketing material and it just doesn't land. It's not that it's bad, it just doesn't land. And when it doesn't land, you don't make sales. And so when you can get really clear on who your ideal client is and who you're targeting, it's so much easier to literally do everything else in your business. So I would say get laser focused on who your ideal client is. And then I would say stay consistent. And I know this is like the bane of everyone's existence because it's hard to stay consistent and it takes time. So it's not just like stay consistent and then like in 30 days, you'll get all your hopes and dreams. It's stay consistent for a really long time. So I would say stay consistent to show up on social media, make a commitment to do it at least 3 times a week and do it without expectation. It's always going to take longer than you think. In fact, at Social Curator, we found that it takes someone between 4 and 6 months of following us, engaging with us, being on our email newsletter, all the things, in order to be willing to invest in a $59 a month offer. So 4 to 6 months of following regular content on social media in order to build up the trust for $59. Now, I know $59 isn't $2, but it's certainly not $5,000 or $10,000 or even $1,000. And so the higher ticket your offers, the more time it's going to take. And so if you can just be consistent and say, I'm going to release expectation. I can only control the effort, not the outcome. And I'm just going to remain consistent no matter what. You're going to win. It just might take time. But I think having that expectation, grounding ourselves in like, this is going to take time. I'm not going to become an overnight success, helps keep going when it feels hard. So number one, make sure you're laser focused on your ideal client. Number two, stay consistent without expectation. And number three, respond to every single comment, DM, email. And this takes time, and it can feel hard when someone just like drops an emoji and you're like, how am I supposed to respond to an emoji? But the personal connection is going to absolutely blow people away, and it builds trust faster than anyone else. So if someone that you know or doesn't know posts a comment or they like, just like sending them a DM, hey, thanks so much for liking my post. Don't sell. Don't be like, here's a link, go buy this thing. Just show that you like saw them enough to care for them. People feel so unseen these days. People feel so lonely. And so even if it's a total stranger, just saying, I see you, people don't forget that. And so if we can remain consistent in just showing up for people, they're not going to forget it. And it's going to lead to sales, whether it's from that person or whether it's from a friend of that person who says, you know what, I don't need this product from this girl I saw on Instagram selling water bottles. I got 18 water bottles, but I got to tell you, she's the nicest person I have ever seen on social media. And I'm going to buy her water bottle for a friend, or I'm going to tell my friend to buy her water bottles. And you never know where that ripple effect comes from. And so make sure you respond to every single comment and DM. And the things I'm saying, they require work. And I think it can be easy to think like, okay, can I take the magic pill? What's the magic pill to help me like blow up on social media or have a really strong brand or have endless amounts of sales? And the magic pill is simply years of work. And I like, it feels so unsexy to say that, you know what I mean? And it kind of feels like a little bit of a downer, but when you build something so carefully, it has a strong foundation. It's a strong thing. Even if you pivot to a different offer, that's going to last. And so do the work now. You have to get a little side job on the side, work at Starbucks to make it work for a period of time, because it does take the time. Do it. It will be well worth the investment.
Amen to that. Absolutely. That was amazing. Thank you, Katie. Thank you for taking the time to come on today. And where can everybody connect with you, find you?
Love that. The best place is at Social Curator on Instagram. We post multiple times a week and we give you valuable content. So if you're like, you know what, I kind of want to know a little bit more about social media, building my business, building my brand, just go follow Social Curators and you're going to be getting that content that you need. And hopefully it'll help you kind of go to the next level in your business.
It definitely will. It definitely will. So again, Katie, thank you so much for being here today.
It was a gift, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Real Talk in My Rooms. A huge thank you to Katie for sharing her insights, story, and wisdom on the transformative power of authentic storytelling in social media marketing. It's guests like Katie who remind us of the beauty in being real, the strength in vulnerability, and the impact of genuine connections. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in and being a part of this conversation. If today's discussion sparked a thought, a question, or a revelation for you, don't hesitate to connect with Social Curator. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps us so much. And until next time, keep creating, keep storytelling, and keep being authentically you.